What is up, guys? I just wanted to introduce my client, Michael. Absolute badass. He has been in-person training for a while. He runs a company called New Human and really making an impact. And I wanted to bring him on today because he joined our program about 8 weeks ago. Already a successful in-person trainer, super sharp guy. And I'm so excited for him because he's had a huge shift in his business in just 8 weeks. So Michael, man, introduce yourself. Let us know more about you as well, and then we'll dive into more questions.
Of course. Thank you, Samim. I've been very grateful that I joined the group. I think it's been amazing to see the shift in like how I can have a better work-life balance and like be able to actually make money with a passion, right? Like I make a lot of money doing in-person training, but you can only do so many days where you're training 12 hours a day, like trading time for money. And I've had an online business for the past 2 years, but like you were mentioning, I've made almost $10,000 in the first 8 weeks. Technically, I've been like applying what I've learned only in the past like 2.5 weeks with actually hopping on calls with people. And I feel like I've just scratched the surface. Like it's been really cool to see like, okay, with the right strategies, with the proper foundation, I can get these high ticket clients instead of chasing however many, like 15 to 20 of my clients would have been like the previous price point. Like I would have had to hire or gotten 15 to 20 people just to get like the amount of clients I've gotten now off of this price point, right? Like having like 2 to 3 really good dedicated clients who are that are willing to invest in themselves is much better in my eyes than having like 15 like half-assed clients that are like trying to pay for a lower price program that may or may not commit. Like these people are fully committed. They're genuine people. Like I've just really enjoyed what I've learned so far.
For sure, man. So tell us, rewind back before we got started. What was your biggest challenge with the online stuff? Like, where were you like kind of stuck? Because you're a sharp guy, you're a leader, you are definitely not like, an average trainer. Like you're top tier. And so, what was it that you were struggling with? You're like, man, like why, why is this the way it is when I know it can be like this?
Yeah, I think I find myself very knowledgeable. I pride myself in that. And it was just understanding how to convert that into proper strategies and like how to structure or how to be a proper online coach. Because being an online coach is not too different than being in person, but at the same time, like you need to have the proper structures. And what I really like about the group is that like it's not just like I signed up for something. It's like here's the info. Like you guys have a library of incredible information, but there's the weekly calls and like I can actually talk to my mentors and be like, hey, this is what's actually going on. Do you have any advice? And like that day, you guys like boom, boom, boom. This is what you should do. Here's something you should check out to like dive deeper into that specific topic. And that's been extremely helpful. So yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is like I have all this knowledge. I didn't know how to like put it together and structure it into high ticket programming, whether it's 3 month, 6 month, 12-month programs. Like I had never sold a 6-month program prior to 2 weeks ago. And I sold 2, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's been really cool to just like apply, like everything's not easy, but everything's so much easier when you have that structure around it.
For sure, man. I think like so many people think, you know, you can just jump online and start just posting content and like getting sales, but like that's not how it works. And I see a lot of people who they just think like, oh, it couldn't be that hard. But a lot of the times, like people are missing skills and they're missing the structure that we've gone through and actually have tested. Because you can go online and DM people all day, but that's not what's going to get you the result. And I think people think that, oh, if I just, obviously we talk about LinkedIn, right? And the audience matters and whatever market audience matters. But like if your offer is not clear, like you said, if you can't actually sell that properly and you don't know mistakes you're making, you can go on any platform, you can go to Equinox, you can go anywhere in the world and try to talk to people and you don't know why that person will buy at a premium and what they actually will need from you for the online stuff, to where you're not stuck in just one-on-one Zoom sessions like 3 times a week, or you're not just trying to give them like a PDF. There has to be a certain process that really does work for people who will pay a premium, and you've just done a really good job implementing it. So I guess tell me more about, you know, if you were looking kind of forward or even like looking to the future of your business, how do you see this will impact like what you do later? Like, and what do you see as like, really exciting for you? Because I know obviously you've run your business for a while and I know your goal when you came to 6 million, I want to be able to generate 100, 200 grand online completely.
Mhm.
How do you see this impacting that? And like, what specifically do you feel like is like a big game changer for you? Obviously minus like, obviously you can sell that now, but like, what else are you seeing in the future?
So one of the biggest reasons why I signed up with you is I had just I was starting to plan my engagement, and I was like, all right, I got to think like long term. Like, I know I've worked with a lot of like successful professionals, and one of the biggest things that they mentioned that they wish they had more was like more family time, or I don't know, just more flexibility in being able to spend time with like things that are meaningful. And I started catching myself like, okay, I have a great social circle. I feel like I live a great life, but by Wednesday, Thursday, after I'd be done working from 5 in the morning until 5 p.m. and then getting home and doing a bunch of programming and doing a lot of like extra stuff that I wasn't getting paid for, like it was getting to a point where work was taking over my life. And I was like, damn, like I won't be able to live that work-life balance I want to live and live that like picture, not picture perfect, but like the life I envision like 5 years, the way I'm doing it now. So I need to make a change. And I, like I mentioned, had dabbled in online coaching, but I was just like, I'm posting every day. Looking back, it was so much more generalized. I'm like, oh, let me just post this nutrition fact and maybe somebody will like it. But like, you could just Google that shit and like, you know what I mean? Like it didn't resonate with people.
Yeah.
But once I started learning that, like, if I can be just more direct, like right now I work with former athletes, right? And if I could just be more direct, and if I'm like speaking to somebody when I'm posting, like I don't have to be posting 4 or 5 times a week, because I was just spending so much time and it was so draining. And not that like I wasn't seeing anything in return, but the efficiency wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
Like now, like I try to post like 2 to 3 times max a week, and every time I post, there's a much more specific potential client who answers that call, right? But yeah, man, my goal right now is to make $250,000 with purely online coaching. And it's been so cool to see the transition where it's like, before, if I like not needed, but if I want to try to hit a certain money goal, like instead of trying to put on like 5 clients in person, I just put on 2 online. Now I don't have to trade my time specific, like in person, because it goes with so much commuting, doing this, traveling to a space, renting a studio. Like the efficiency is like no, like it's like
It's insane. It's a totally different thing.
it's
And
a whole
people don't realize it's not just like Zoom sessions. Like you literally are consulting and advising these people, and they're still paying you like, way more. And they're excited about it. People, here's what I noticed. People don't believe that people pay a premium for just consulting and advising. They're like, oh, so if I'm not doing one-on-one Zoom sessions, what are they paying me for? I'm like, you're marketing to the wrong person. And they think they have to work with the people that are in the past. And that's the disconnect I see in a lot of coaches. They're using their point of reference for what they know. And the reason people join this program is because we know something that is outside of your point of reference, which is why you hire us, right? And I think so many people have had just, weird online experiences. They're not getting like the true grasp on like how this model shifts. But like, if you just get it down, you'll never do the same thing ever again. And like, you see how you'll be able to work 20 hours a week and make 200 grand online. You see that's possible now.
Correct. No, 100%. Like,
and even more.
I feel like if I had more time, but like I mentioned, I've only been applying these things for the past 2.5 weeks, partially because I still have that in-person business that I'm trying to completely shift away from to be 100% online. Because even if I could just make the same amount I make in person, like my work-life balance would be incredible. Like one of my biggest goals, right? I have a vision board. Thanks to you guys, I was able to actually like create it. And one of the biggest things is I want to be able to take my son or daughter to the park at like 11 a.m. and still have a successful business and still be able to go work out, right? Like it started getting to a point where I'd be working in the gym all day, wasn't taking care of myself. You can't pour out of an empty cup, right? So it's like, how do you figure that shit out? And like, how do you figure out an efficient way to train people? My online clients get better results than my in-person. And I was like, what is going on? What's the disconnect? It's because I'm actually coaching them habitually, like with their habits, and having like more of a holistic approach versus just seeing somebody for an hour and being like, hey, here are your exercises. Hopefully you do this by the next time we see each other. Like it's a whole different approach. And like you mentioned, I try to explain that to somebody, like, wouldn't it make more sense to not have to, most people that are going to sign up, right, are successful. Like they're already tight on time. If you're trying to meet up and take up more time, like you're kind of being counterintuitive. You know what I mean? So
I agree. That's the funny part. People realize that like online consulting and advising is for a certain type of client, but then how do you communicate to that client? Where do you find them? And like, how do you actually develop packages that they actually want? And people realize there's multiple steps to that. And so you've absolutely, crushed that. But I think the biggest thing is so many people live in disbelief that like people can do that, or they will do that. And it's funny is like the whole definition of insanity thing. people literally will do what they know and then they'll judge what they don't know. When like the reason
Literally.
you hire somebody is because you need them to teach you something. And so that's the irony of like when someone's like, well, I don't know how that's possible, so I'm not going to do it. That's why you hire somebody, right? Like that's the funny part. That like you've obviously got, and obviously a lot of great people do as well, but it takes so long for like even an expert sometimes to believe that people will do that. That like while they're waiting, they're wasting time, and they don't realize that like the money you're losing by not taking action is a lot greater than the money you're gaining by like being safe about it, which is typically not actually that safe. And so it's kind of funny to watch that from a lot of people. Like it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I guess my question for you is like, what would you tell somebody in a similar position who is like you, and have we honored our word? Are we honest people? Are we just genuinely like, what have you experienced from us? And what would you say to somebody in a similar position?
I think the biggest thing that really got me to want to join the group was that as I learned, luckily I learned this when I was younger, is that if you want to be able to learn something or accomplish something, talk to somebody who's actually done it. And just seeing literally like dozens of your testimonials, I was like, okay, not negatively to anybody else, but it was like, if they can do it, why can't I? You know what I mean? Like I just think that like, yes, you can trade hard work and just work hard enough, you'll be able to succeed. But at the same time, like that caps out. Like you need to have knowledge and you need to have that structure around you. And having class or like online class with you guys every week has been so helpful. But yeah, man, it's the real deal. I'm very grateful that I joined, right? Like you laid it out very honestly. Like you were like, yo, like this is what we do. This is how it works. If you fall, like boom, it's gonna work. And I'm happy that I'm starting to apply those things and like I'm seeing it literally live action, like day by day, actually happen. So yeah, man, if somebody's watching this, just take the leap of faith. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think a lot of people join programs where they're like these scaled out groups where they don't really get individual attention. But do you feel like we haven't like given you guys attention or given you attention that you need? Or do we
No,
actually analyze and review what we say we're going to do?
no, actually you do. I've been very grateful for you, Jeremy. Speak to Jeremy almost every day. Like it's been very helpful to have that, even if it's like a simple question, like you got, it's not just like, oh, just ask us the big questions. Like any type of question is very important when you're trying to learn like a new, not career, but new aspect of online coaching. And you guys have been very helpful. So I'm very grateful.
For sure, man. Well, I've loved supporting you, and I can't wait to see you do 250 grand and more this year. So we'll make it happen.
Hell yeah. Thank you, man.
Awesome, man. Talk soon.